In 2020 and 2021, I read 150 books. In 2022, I read 127 books. In 2023, I read 75 books. And last year, I read 67. And this year, I'm on track to read, I don't know, 50? My books read per year keeps going down, and I don't like it. I am reading more than probably 95% of Americans. But as someone who loves books, and 50 books a year is just like not gonna do it for me. That's not less than a book a week. And to be honest, it's not like I've replaced that book reading time with anything helpful, useful, beneficial to me in any way. You know what I've replaced it with? Scrolling on my phone, watching TikToks, watching Instagram reels, watching YouTube, and I want to be reading more. And so I've decided that this year I'm gonna hit 100 books. I have read 35 books total, and in order to hit 100, I need to read 65 more. Luckily for me, there are exactly 100 days left this year at time of recording. And so over the next 100 days, I'm going to tackle those 65 books. How am I going to do this? You might ask. That's a lot of books to read for someone who hasn't been reading even a book a week. Well, I have given myself 4 rules. Rule 1, I need to be reading at least 50 pages every single day. I am someone who definitely reads more on the weekends. I have to work and do things during the week that prevent me from reading at the same level I can on Saturday and Sunday. But that being said, I still need to be reading probably like 50 pages, and this can be in any format, whether that is with my eyeballs or with audiobooks. I do think I'm gonna have to rely fairly heavily on audiobooks in this challenge. And in this house, format doesn't matter. I will be reading an ebook, audiobook, physical book, all of the things. For me, I'm a fast reader. This is probably about an hour or so of reading a day. Pretty doable, especially if we're splitting it between audio and physical books. 2, I need to be reading every night before bed. Reading before bed is the one time of day that I can guarantee that I'll have at least a few minutes to read. I feel like this is the best way to wind down. Currently, my bedtime routine involves me playing on my iPad. I don't keep my phone by my bed, but I do keep my iPad by my bed, and I do become an iPad baby after, 10:30 p.m. when I crawl into my bed for the night. None of that. We are going to be reading every night before bed. There's no qualifications on this. Sometimes I may be reading 5 pages. Sometimes I might read for an hour and read 100 pages. Either way is totally fine, but I just want my eyeball to go to a book instead of a scrolly screen. 3, the way I'm really going to be monitoring this and making sure that I am not just scrolling is I am going to be limiting my screen time, my phone screen time, to 2 hours a day. This doesn't include all screen time. I do spend a ton of time on my computer, and I do enjoy a YouTube video on my iPad, especially while I'm getting ready and things. So it is only going to be on my phone, but this is the culprit of the big scrolls, because this is where Instagram and TikTok live. And the last rule is I need to be finishing at least 4 videos a week. Within 100 days, there are about 14 weeks. So if I'm finishing about 4 books a week, I'll be at about 56 books. But I do think there will be some weeks where I'll be reading a little bit more, and 5 books in 14 weeks is a little too many, and we don't want to stretch. I will be happy if I scoot in at exactly 100 books on January 1st. No, that'd be too late. On December 31st. So that is my goal. That is the plan. What happens if I do not meet these rules, if I break them? Well, of course there is going to be punishment, and we'll talk about those later in the video. But for now, let's jump into things. Starting with me picking my books for the week. For this week's books, obviously I want the first week to be good. I want a bunch of 5 stars. And so we are going to be using a 5-star audit to figure out what sort of books I should be reading. I again, did not come up with this idea. As you know, I love a steal an idea. And this one comes from Megan Books. I saw her do it, and I also saw Books and Lala do it. I will link theirs down below. Essentially, they went through all of their 5-star favorites, and they found common themes of within those favorites and picked books based off of those themes. I have actually put up all of my 4.5 and 5-star favorite books on this slide here over the past 4 years. I started using Storygraph in 2021, and this is my Storygraph. One thing that I didn't do with this is I did not sort these in any discernible manner. They all just got chalked on here, and I just filled them in. There's absolutely no pattern to how these are arranged. But I do think I'm going to kind of theme based on genre. I'm going to grab all of the romance books first, and let's see if we can track down some common themes. Okay, here are all of my romances. It's mostly a lot of repeating authors. I love a few of these authors and tend to give their books really high points. Technically, these two could go romantasy. I would be very comfortable putting those there. Yeah, let's move those over there. So let's not think about Bride or The Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love. We'll call those romantasy. Let's see if we can find some sort of common pattern. Because, like, I'm not putting every single book from these. And if I had to pick a favorite from each of these, I would say From Lukov, Beach Read, Part of Your World, and Love on the Brain are like probably my favorites from the authors we're seeing a lot of. So I do like a slight enemies to lovers vibe, as we can tell from the selection I've made. But this one would also be enemies to lovers. This one sort of would be too. And like, I think all of Mariana Zapata, we have Grumpy Sunshine. We've got Grumpy Sunshine dynamics in this one. This one is like, maybe not in this one. That one might not have Grumpy Sunshine. And this one's a reverse Grumpy Sunshine, in which the girl is the grump. But like, still, Grumpy Sunshine vibes. Let's think. So we are going to try to do a enemies to lovers. I could have told you that's my favorite. Rivals to lovers might be a better like way to talk about it too. Okay. You guys can just hang over here for now. We might need you guys later. So just chill in the corner. Okay. Bride and The Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love have motivated me to think about romantasy. What would I call romantasy? Oh, there's the people we meet on vacation. Get down here with the other M hens. There's Deep End. I missed a bunch. Deep End. Get down here. I actually have way less romantasy than I would think. Wow, I'm like shocked. I like talk about how much I love romantasy, and these are the titles that I have in my like 4.5 or 5 stars, and it's really not that many. Wow. And a lot of these I actually wouldn't really truly cast as romantasy. I would cast these 4 in the center like truly as romantasy. Probably the Sarah J. Masses too. I think both ACOTAR and Crescent City are both pretty romantasy. And then these are both pieces of Dramione fanfiction that I absolutely adored. I could read Manacle, or I could read Alchemized. It does come out tomorrow, so that could be a possibility. I know it's a chunky one. That seems like kind of a mean thing to do to myself for this challenge, but I am noticing we've got a lot of vampires. These guys are all vampires. These 4 in the middle are vampires. I do love a vampire. These are fae. We have fae, obviously, and then these are like more like lightly speculative contemporaries. I'm actually gonna maybe make this like the third category, is like these like lightly magical contemporary speculative sort of novels. So I have a couple more that are not romances that would kind of fit in that category. So I think this is what we're looking at for romantasy. What does it for me for a romantasy? What makes it like a really true like favorite romantasy? Vampires. I tend to like books later in a series. I think the endings of both these two are so great. I love the dynamics between them and these 3. These 3, all 3 have great dynamics. I'm actually not sensing like a super strong theme. We might come back to this one because I like, despite my love of romantasy, don't know what to do with those. So let's pull these guys and let me pull a couple others that I'm thinking for speculative contemporary. Lightly contemporary speculative. A lot of these kind of land, there's kind of like 2 main categories. There's like sad books. Books will make you cry. I guess Out There by Kate Polk. That one's just kind of a weirdo. And then like slightly spookier ones. I actually would put Addie LaRue on here. These are like kind of the 2 options. We can go in the like lightly speculative time travel. I guess not all of them are like truly time travel, but there is like an element of time travel in there. And then we've got like spooky sad girls. We could do both. There's no rule against it. Do spooky sad girls and lightly time travel. Because also if we do time travel, I could also rope in, where is it? My Beloved. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Is this one. Time travel. Books about time travel that will make you cry. Potential. And then this one is just like spooky girl gang. Except Last House on Needless is less girl gang. I guess Sundial by Katarina Ward would also fall in this category of like spooky. Do we want a spooky book? I think we should have a spooky book. Her Body and Other Parties could also come in this like spooky girls. House of Hollow, another spooky girly book. That is my favorite type of spooky. I want spooky girly. That's what our next category is going to be. Spooky girly. Gorgeous. And then speculative. Do I want to do... Because I think the last option, we have a couple like big categories that I could see coming up. One, like literary fiction, like really beautifully written literary fiction. Let's talk about that. So we've got literary fiction. We've got Malibu Rising, My Dark Vanessa, Station 11, The Bell Jar. Station 11 is also on here twice. Very bad at this, obviously. Hello Beautiful, The Mothers. So, Out There by Kate Folk, I think she's just a weirdo. I don't think she's invited to the party. Unfortunately, she's lovely. There's almost like a time travel sort of element with Station 11. We're not traveling through time in the book, like it's not speculative, but we are, like, it's a non-linear narrative. Transcendent Kingdom is also non-linear narrative. Ghost by Dolly Alderton, I think, is straightforward. I would say these guys have a lot in common. We've got, of course, our Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm sure Daisy is here too. I haven't read the new Taylor Jenkins Reid. Could just be the prediction. Is the Taylor Jenkins Reid book. This I feel like is a little bit more of an outlier. Hello Girls is in the same category. And I almost would stick all these guys in here as well. And then these guys are kind of outlier books. My category here would be like books about like sisters or friends, like books that really center like a group of women. I'm like lumping Taylor Jenkins Reid in there, but I don't know if she really quite fits. Like Hello Girls is about two friends. Ghost is about a young woman. Well, I guess I think she's turning 32. She's like dating as a 30-year-old. It's about her. Conversations with Friends is about friends. Maybe one of my favorite books of all time. The Mothers, Hello Beautiful, another favorite of all time. And then if I had to pick one Taylor Jenkins Reid, I would go Seven Husbands or Malibu Rising. Those are both my favorites, but I haven't read Atmosphere yet, so I am tempted to do that. Call Me By Your Name just has such lush writing. That's why it's my favorite. Oh my gosh, I'm so torn. I think I'm going to do Make You Cry time travel books is going to be the category. I think that's going to be easier for me to establish. Make You Cry time travel books. Ideally with a speculative element. Like Transcendent Kingdom doesn't totally fit here because it does not have a speculative element, but there is something that almost feels time travel-y about how the narrative is structured. Okay, so we're doing Make You Cry time travel, which is so funny because if you would have asked me maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said I don't like time travel at all. Like I would have said if I hear about time travel, it's something that will make me not want to read a book. And here it is in my favorites. Okay, let's look at what we have left. So we still have some of these guys like lingering about. We did not do a romantasy. I think that's okay. We have a romance, we have a horror, and we'll have like a book club fiction. I don't know. What do we have next? We have the Magnolia Park series. We have Game of Thrones. We have kind of some chunky series. Obviously, we've got Throne of Glass in here. In the Dream House. These are like really gorgy memoirs. Super gorgeous little memoirs. Bluettes. But they're really sad. I don't know if I'm in the mood for a sad book right now, because I do love a sad memoir. And we've already got Make You Cry time travel and like spooky, girly, preferably sad girl. Something like a fantasy series. And if you note, like I almost never have a fantasy series. I never have like the first books. It's really hard for me to get into a fantasy series, but I love a later book in the series. You'll notice actually, I think most of my series that I have later books more than early books, or I do like a standalone, but like I only have these two as like true fantasy, standalones. I would say, yeah, a later book in a fantasy series. So are there any fantasy series that I'm in the middle of that I want to read a later book in? We've got all the Magnolia Parks girls. I love Magnolia Parks. I could read the new Jessa Hastings. There's a couple authors that I have. We're just like sorting. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to sort through this and I'll be back. Okay. I went and sorted. We've got all of our Magnolia Parks books. We've got all of our thrillers, which I prefer a thriller with like a little bit more like familial heart, I think, overall, except The Whistler Man, I feel like is an outlier. I just really enjoyed that. I love books that are later in series, but I couldn't think of a series that I like really want to continue right now. I do love a really good memoir, like really stylistically written memoir, but I wasn't in the mood for, they normally are sad. People aren't like, I had the best life ever, let me tell you about it, that often. Loved these nonfiction books by Ta-Nehisi Coates and Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. But I decided to go with a theme that I could find in a bunch of categories. And that theme is one of my favorite things to read about, which is sisters or like sibling sets. Because like Malibu Rising, they have some boy siblings as well. But these books are all sister books. So there are 4 themes that we're going to pick our books around. Now it's time for us to pick the actual books. It's giving Rebecca. If you're familiar with Rebecca, they don't say the protagonist's name. She's like, my name is weird, but doesn't tell us what it is.
Penguin Random House Audio presents Sisters by Daisy Johnson. Read for you by Daisy Edgar Jones and Anna Koval.
My sister is a black hole. My sister is a tornado. My sister is the end of the line. My sister is the locked door. My sister is a shot in the dark.
Didn't think I'd climb so high. Never thought I'd have it all.
Okay, I'm filming myself with my back camera like a responsible lady, but I think that might mean you can't see me. Also, I'm in a parking lot and people are driving by, and I'm wearing this vest that I thought was really cute when I saw it at Target, but wearing it today, I do feel a little bit like Beetlejuice. Also, I do think you can hear there's like music playing nearby. A lot is happening, but I wanted to give you an update. I'm reading 2 books currently. I started Sisters by Daisy Johnson, and I'm probably like a third of the way into that one. I'm feeling questionable that one. It's very short. I'm listening to the audiobook because it's narrated by Daisy Edgar Jones, and I think in total the audiobook is less than 6 hours. I'm like an hour and a half in, and so far nothing has happened really. We have these 2 sisters, July and September, and they're just like vibing. We know something happened. The vibes are weird. Like, they're weird. It kind of reminds me a bit of Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valenti, which I did love. This one feels a little bit more realistic. Like, if you've read that, Comfort Me with Apples, it is like super weird, like wonky bananas. Nothing like speculative, nothing like impossible has happened so far. The vibes are just like, what's going on? And the fact that there are 2 sisters named July and September is kind of weird. The mom situation is weird. I'm just like kind of like confused and weirded out. I'm not hating it. Like, it's clearly like well written, but I also am like, hey guys, why are we here? You know? Ministry of Time I'm less into. Last night I was like trying to get my 50 pages in before I fell asleep. I was literally falling asleep. My book kept falling over because I was so tired. So I'm not very far into that. I think I'm like 20% of the way into that. It's good so far. It reminds me a lot of The Husbands by Holly Gramazio in terms of the writing style, which is not necessarily my personal preference. I find that writing style to be a little like cold. It's like very matter of fact. And like, as a girly who like loves a good cry, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Well, I'm like enjoying the story so far, but I haven't like deeply connected with either of the characters. And I think the writing style is a writing style that tends to like hold you at a little bit of a distance. Like, we don't even know the name of the main character. Like, that's just not our business, you know? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's how I'm feeling so far. We'll keep you updated. I'm currently in my car, listening to Sisters, and it is raining. Very like nice vibes. Okay. TG by L.
Floating somewhere in the sky.
Decided to start the rom-com tonight. Love Interest by Clare Gilmore. Obsessed with his dedication.
And I don't think I'll ever
So cute.
hold on, don't let go of me yet. Don't want it to end, just stay right here. Hold on, don't let
Guys, I realized yesterday, as I was going to bed putting in my pages, that despite the fact that I thought I hit my page goal on Monday, I definitely did not. If you look at my story graph, which is how I'm doing my pages, since I'm doing a lot of books in a lot of different formats, for yesterday, I got 96 pages, but for the 22nd, I only got 46 pages, which means we have our very first punishment. Let me tell you what those 8 punishments could be. What are we in for? And then we will roll for our punishment. first punishment wouldn't actually be that bad right now, will get worse as the year continues, and that is read for an hour outside. I must read for 1 hour outside if I land on this one within the vlog, so before the end of the week. 2, the big book punishment, which is that my next book has to be 500 plus pages long, and that would be bad news for me. I don't think anything in this reading vlog is 500 plus pages, so that would mean I would need to change what I'm reading. Okay. The third punishment is a new author only week. So this would actually apply for next week, and it would be that every book in next week's vlog would have to be from a new author, no authors that I've read from before. So new to me, not new to the world. They don't have to be babies. 4 is a random pick. I add one more book that has to be finished this week, and it is totally random. I pick it using like Storygraph's random feature off of my TBR. So it's not totally random in that it's over my TBR. So I'm not going to end up reading like a textbook about like medieval shoes, but random in terms of I don't actually get to pick what book off my TBR we're reading. And then 5, this one I'm dreading the most, is a 24-hour readathon. If I get 5, I'm going to have to attempt to read as much as possible within 24 hours. Although I think this would help me get to my overall book goal, this is not something I'm excited about potentially pursuing. So I hope I don't land on that one. 6 is an audiobook only day. I do a mixture. I have been listening to more audiobooks as I've been driving, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to hit my goal. But I am primarily, I would say, a reader with my eyeballs, an eyeball book reader. And so this would be challenging for me. I'm currently in the middle of 3 books, and 2 of them I'm reading with my eyeballs, 1 with my ears. So I would have to switch all 3 to audio for the day. So tricky. 7 is a physical TBR drag, which means pull, a physical TBR pull, which means right back there, you can actually see it. That is my physical TBR. It's going to collapse and fall on my head one day. I need to pull 1 book from that stack and read it by the end of the week. Okay. And then the last one is Resurrection. I need to pick up a previously DNF'd book and give it another shot. I do use the DNF feature within Storygraph, so that would mean picking a book from that list of DNF books off of Storygraph and giving it another go. And I do not DNF books super easily, so these are books that I was not enthused about. So these are all definitely, like, some of these are definitely harder than others. All right, this die has 8 sides, which is what we need because I have 8 possible challenges. You ready? We're gonna roll it. And we got 6. 6 is an audiobook only day. Okay, I actually haven't read any with my eyeball today, so I'm going to make today my audiobook only day, which is gonna really suck before bed, actually. I normally read before bed, and I'm going to have to listen before bed. I don't even know how that will work, but we will see together. This should be fine for now because I'm about to get in my car. And so I was going to listen to my audiobook anyway, but later in the evening, it might become more annoying. Okay, I will see you there. As part of my 100 book challenge, I am at the halfway point of every single book going to be giving you a 5-word vibe check. Just with general, not really a synopsis of the book, but just what the vibes of the book are. And I'm going to say my 5 words for this book are going to be weird. It is weird, that's for sure. Sisters. This book is definitely about sisters. I know I picked this one for sisters, and I'm like, this is not exactly what I meant, but sisters are at the forefront, which we gathered from the title. Uncanny Valley, that's 2 words, but that's definitely the vibe. We're in this weird kind of liminal space, and I'm nervous. I'm gonna say nervous because that's I feel the most accurate way to describe how I'm feeling right now is that I know something really bad is about to happen any moment now, because you just get that vibe in the book, and we're almost there. I feel I'm in that moment before a jump scare. I do think this book is gonna get spooky, and I'm nervous for it. So that's how I'm feeling.
I don't know anybody quite like you. You can lift me up.
Love a puzzle. Sister audiobook. Obsessed with it.
I'll be there till I'm gone. I don't need anybody. Only you can lift me up.
So many updates for you. 1, I'm back in the Beetlejuice vest. I'm wearing it the way it's supposed to be worn, and I do think it looks better. Unfortunate for me because I did think it was a vest when I purchased it, but this is cute. A little crochet top that has buttons on the back. I only got to read at the park for like 30 minutes because I forgot to put sunscreen on. So I could only raw dog the sun for like 30 minutes before I was like, gotta get out of there. And so I read Ministry of Time while I was at the park, and then I came into my car and I finished Sisters, the audiobook, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it, which is, that's fine. It's the first book I finished in this challenge, so it gets to be number 1. It gets to be the Queen of the Castle for right now. That book was so weird. It was so well written, like really well constructed. I actually really enjoyed the ending. Teared up. I cried at a point. She talks about the idea of grief being a house with no windows. Absolutely beautiful. But like in the end, I'm perplexed. I'm confused. I don't really know how to feel about it. Don't know how to feel about it. It was weird. And the end was weird. And the middle was weird. It was all weird. But also, like, not that weird. Probably not, unless you've also read it. That's where we're sitting with this. Also, the sun is, like, really aggressively coming in on this side. And that just, like, is what it is. I don't know if there's a way to be better lit with where I'm parked. So, okay. One book down. We're clocking in early tonight. It's only 9:30. I don't know if you can see the time at the top of this, which means hopefully I can get in at least an hour, maybe even an hour and a half of reading. We do have sleepy time tea on the go though, which could knock me out at any moment. Here's the plan for this evening. I have one more category of book that I need to start. I haven't started my spooky girl book, my like horror for the girls book. And I have 2 options. I have A Certain Hunger and The Bog Wife. I'm going to read the first little bit of both of them and pick which one I'm going to read. But mostly my plan for this evening is to put like a big dent in Love Interest by Clare Gilmore, because I love a rom-com before bed. And I don't want to read too much horror before bed because then I'll get scared because I'm a baby chicken. But I'm excited to be in bed early and getting some serious hours in, because we've only read one book and we're 4 days into this. Gonna need to pick up the pace if I'm gonna hit 4 books by the end of the week, which is the goal, of course. Okay, TTYL. I'll update you once I've read a little of both A Certain Hunger and The Bog Wife. Okay, I did read both of them, and I think we're gonna go with A Certain Hunger. It has like a little bit, it's more of a giggly time. I do think she's a serial killer cannibal, but I also just like her vibes. Where the other one is more of like a family saga. It's kind of giving like Faulkner-esque, As I Lay Dying, and that's just not the vibes. But for tonight, we will be reading Love Interest and hopefully making a pretty big dent in it. I come to you with some updates. Update 1. Remember how last night I was like, I'm going to read so much of Love Interest. I fell asleep within 5 minutes. Sleepy time tea plus melatonin will knock you square on your butt. And it did. And I slept good. And I had a dream that I met AOC. And I said, I need a job. And she said, you could work for me. So that was good. Living out my scandal dreams in my dreams, I guess, not really living them out. 2, I forgot to do this for Sisters yesterday. Maybe I needed a minute to process, but I wanted to, for every book that I finished, to give you a little 60-second synopsis. So we're going to do that right now that I've had some time to process things. All right, you ready? All right, ready, set, go. Sisters by Daisy Johnson is the story of 2 sisters, July and September. They are only 10 months apart. They're very close together in age, and their relationship is weird. It's weird. We meet them when they're on their way from where they currently live in Oxford to a new home on the coast, because something happened. Something happened at school. Some event happened. We're nervous about it. And they are on this journey with their mother. And they get to this house. The house is also weird. Oh my gosh, strange. Everything in this book is weird. And the house is unsettling. Their mom is like clearly not doing well. She's like in her room, won't come out. These two girls are being creepy and spooky. September, the older sister, is kind of like mean vibes with her younger sister July, but also they're like super, super close. Things are weird. We're waiting to know what happened to make them move here, and also what are they going to do now that they're here. And then third thing is I just finished Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. You haven't seen me read that book because this is actually my September Patreon book club book. And so if you really want to know my thoughts, you can head over to Patreon. And I think there's like 2.5 hours of me talking about that book. I do a like weekly audio update on my Patreon for like we break the book into like chunks. And you can read along with me and get my thoughts chapter by chapter. And then I do one little final wrap-up video. I just finished recording that wrap-up video. And I'm not going to tell you too many of my thoughts. It wasn't my favorite book. If we're going to put it in the rankings, which obviously we are, it's going to definitely go in 2. It's definitely going to fall behind Sisters. But obviously, I need to give that one a 60-second recap as well. Rose in Chains is the story of Bryony, who is the princess of this kingdom called Eversun. Eversun is in a war with the kingdom of Bombard. And the book opens with Bryony's twin brother Rory dying. He was supposed to be the heir that saved them all. Unfortunately, he's dead. So Bryony gets sold off in an auction because she's magic. I don't think I mentioned that. She's magic. And she's being sold to act as kind of like a battery, a power bank, if you will, to the Bombards, because they use this magic called heart magic, which is different than what she uses, which is mind magic, and they need to like suck their magic from some source so they can be more powerful. She gets bought by Tovin, this boy that she had a crush on when she was in school, but like maybe hates her. He's from one of the most powerful families in Bombard. He spends all of his money. He buys her in this auction, and now she's living with him and having a bad time and having to figure out how to save the day from her room, which she can't leave because she's a slave essentially. So let's give an update. Where are we at? Friday afternoon. We have tonight, Saturday, Sunday, to be reading 2 or ideally 3 more books, because Rose and Chain really wasn't supposed to count, but like it's a book, so like it does count. I didn't put A Certain Hunger in here, but I did start A Certain Hunger. I read the first chapter last night, as you saw. And then we've got Love Interest, which I'm at 13% on, The Ministry of Time, which I'm at 27% on. So we're gonna have to clearly make some progress in this, but I'm like definitely a weekend reader. Like that's when I get most of my reading done, so I'm not too stressed yet. Maybe I should be.
Never fails to make me smile. Hold on, don't let go of me yet. Don't want it to end, just stay right here. Hold on, don't let this slip away.
Right.
I don't know anybody
Good morning.
like you.
The sun has finally risen. I woke up very early this morning, not on purpose, but on accident. But I had a lovely morning. I do have good news and bad news. We're going to start with the good news because I went new. And that good news is that I did wake up early this morning and decided to fill my morning with a little rom-com. And I haven't done this in a while, but I used to absolutely love nothing more than like a slow Saturday morning where I could spend an hour or 2 losing myself in a rom-com. And I did just that this morning. I woke up at like 4:30 this morning. Not on purpose. Like I said, it was an accident. My body just said good morning. And I read a huge chunk of this. And we'll definitely be finishing it today because I'm having such a delightful time with Love Interest. That does mean it's time for my 5 words. Okay, are you ready? My 5 words. Giddy. I'm giddy. This is swoony. Workplace. M-hen vibes. I know that's 2 words, maybe 3, but like, you know, that's like the highest praise I can give a romance. And just like delighted. Those are going to be my 5 words for this book at the 60% mark. I am just like loving it so much. I'm having such a lovely time with it. I'm so glad I picked this up. I don't have anything against a workplace romance, but it's definitely not like my first choice in romance, but this is working for me so well. I love both the characters so much. I'm just having like the most delightful time ever. My bad news though. Last night I did not read before bed. I didn't read before bed. I was lying in bed and I was like, oh, I should read, and I just procrastinated it until I fell asleep. And I like watched YouTube videos watched a new episode of Taskmaster, hung out, and did not read. So unfortunately, we are gonna have to do another punishment for me. Okay, we're gonna take the actual best angle, which is this one, and we're gonna roll it 4. That's definitely different. I will look and see what that is, and we'll do that. Okay, great. Hello, I know I'm in the same spot. The lighting is probably dramatically different because now it's night. I did not finish Love Interest by Clare Gilmore because I'm saving it. I decided to save it for tonight before bed and maybe in the morning if I don't quite finish it up before I go to sleep tonight, because I'm finding it so delightful that I'm going to save it as a little treat for myself. Instead, I did this afternoon read a bit more in The Ministry of Time. I'm at the 50% mark now. I don't think I really talked a lot about this book. It was the first book I started, but it's been going the slowest, I think, for me, because Sisters I had an audio, and Love Interest has been just like so delightful that I've been just like devouring it, where this one for me has been a little bit of a slower burn. It is a story, I'll give you the super basic premise. I'll give you the super basic premise because I don't think I've talked about it at all. Essentially, the British government has discovered a way to make time travel possible, and they have brought all of these people from the past to the future, and they're set up with these like British government agents that are like living with them for the year. We're following this woman who is living with a man from the past. I don't know when. He was a sailor in the Arctic. And it is just kind of about their story, their journey together. There's a lot of conversations. This woman is half Cambodian, and there's a lot of conversations about what that feels like in the workplace and kind of her relationship to that and how she sees herself as marginalized, and then the ways that she like kind of is like frustrated with the ways that other people see her as marginalized as well. And that is like really interesting, and I actually feel like that's almost as much of the plot as the like time travel aspect is really a lot about like her and her relationship with work as this like marginalized woman and what that feels like, particularly in this like government office. It's actually interesting that the Ministry of Time and Love Interest are both both deal with one like marginalized identities to some extent. The love interest in Love Interest is also half, he's not Cambodian, I believe he's Vietnamese. His mother is Vietnamese, his father is white, and also workplace romances essentially. I mean, this has not actually, the Ministry of Time has not actually turned into a romance quite yet, but I can see it's going there. She definitely has caught feelings for this man that's living with her, but nothing has really transpired yet. It's mostly about him like figuring out the world, you know. She doesn't want to make moves on him too soon. Okay, time for the 50% vibe check. What are the vibes of this book? Suppressed pining. It's 2 words. Gentleman. He's a good man, Savannah. Is very like heady, like intellectual writing. This woman is like very much in her head. If we did the like, what is it called? Where you take your Myers-Briggs, is that what it's called? She would definitely be a thinker, not a feeler, like to the max. Which reminds me, Love Interest does reference the Enneagram. Random, I know I'm in the middle of doing my 5 words, but like pause with me for a second. Love Interest does reference the Enneagram, and I love the Enneagram. And I do think our girlie is a 5, which I'm also an Enneagram 5. She hasn't taken the test officially yet. She's either a 5 or a 3. The boy thinks I think she's a 5 because I'm a 5, and I want us to be besties, and he's a 7, and I love Enneagram 7s. Anyway, back to here for my final word. My final word is British. Did I use British for Sisters? I don't think I wound up. I like contemplated it because Sisters is also very British. This book it feels very British. It feels very like proper British. Like it's very like not overly emotional, and that has been not totally vibing with me. I'm a girlie who loves melodrama. Okay, I love some melodrama in my reads, and I have missed that a little in The Ministry of Time because I think the woman who we're getting the like POV from, she's like very rational and like very like thought out, and I'm like, ugh, just like cry and be like, I love you, you know. I just want a little melodrama, and I haven't really gotten it. But we shall persist. So now we're like halfway through here. Oh, I did also read a little bit more of A Certain Hunger this afternoon as well, but I had to stop once it got dark out because like we do not read about murderers in this house once the sun goes down. That's like a no-go for me personally. Too spooky. Ew, it's too bright. I don't know, guys. The lighting's just gonna be like aesthetically bad. We're listening to Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves. I like remembered this album this morning and we listened to it all morning and now I'm gonna listen to it again as I go to bed. We're reading Love Interest by Clare Gilmore. Okay. Me and my spooky lighting will go now.
Like you can lift me up, and the truth is I'm falling. I'll be there till I'm gone.
Hi! Welcome back. It's Sunday. I just finished another book. Well, a few hours ago I finished a book. It is now Sunday afternoon. I finished this morning. I finished Love Interest by Clare Gilmore, my little rom-com for the week, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I just thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh, where am I going to put it in the rankings? I think it is going to move into first place. I do think it's going to move above Sisters. Despite the fact that, like, Sisters is one of those books, I, like, continue to think about it. I finished it on Thursday, and I do keep being like, well, that's so crazy. Wait, why were there ants in the wall? It is not as widely read of a book as I wish it was because I want to hear more people talk about it in terms of, like, what they think and, like, what everything meant. And, like, I just wish there was more. And there's not a lot of author interviews either with Daisy Johnson. And so I'm like, I just felt like a little bit more in the world of Sisters. But anyway, I am going to move Love Interest into first place because I just had like the most delightful time. It wasn't a perfect 5-star romance for me, but it was still like quite good. Like really enjoyed it quite a lot. I think she's another book out as well. And I will definitely be adding that to the TBR. So I finished. Do you know what that means? It is time for my 60-second book synopsis / pitch where I'm going to tell you all about this book. And I guess try to convince you to read it? Is that what I'm doing? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Ready? Steady, go. Love Interest is about this young woman named Claire. Nope, Claire is the author. A young woman named Casey who is working at a magazine in New York in the accounting department, and she applies for this new job that is a little bit more creative because she thinks that's what she's supposed to want. Unfortunately, she doesn't get it because this guy named Alex gets it, but she's a little mad about Alex getting it because his father is on the board, and so she's like, nepotism, but then she meets Alex and he's actually very good at his job, and then they develop a romance. At first, it's just like a friends with benefits situation because she is supposed to be moving to London next summer, and so she doesn't want to get into anything very serious, but obviously they fall deeply madly in love with each other. Also, she has like a pretty large group of friends in New York, and we learn a lot about them. Also, there's like a Bon Appetit style like YouTube cooking show, which as someone who is like a huge Claire Saffitz fan, I like thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of things. Things get dramatic. There are business. Is that a spoiler? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. You might have noticed that the little timer just got cut a little short. As I was thinking through that, I realized I spoiled something pretty major in the last like 2 seconds. So if the timer like cuts off weirdly, it's because I don't want to spoil things for you, because I do think you should read it. If you are like a fan of workplace romances or like rivals to lovers, and like I did say in the recap, they do work at this like large like publishing company like Condé Nast, and there is a magazine that's like Bon Appetit, and they do get featured on the YouTube channel, and that is delightful as someone who is like a huge Bon Appetit fan. Okay, second thing we needed to do is yesterday I did get a punishment and I rolled for it, and I got random TBR, random add to your TBR. That's what I got, and so I need to do that. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to do it through Storygraph. If you go to Storygraph and you go to Storygraph, you go to your to be read pile or your to read pile, and you go to suggestions up at the top. The first book will always be the same. So mine has been This Vicious Grace for literally my whole life. But the second book will be random. Okay. The pick I got is Lauren Groff's Matrix. And the only thing I know about this book is my mom had to read it for one of her book club one time, and she hated it. Why did I add it to my TBR after that? Couldn't tell ya. I do think it's about like nuns, and it's like smart and thoughtful and like very literary. Let's see what this has to say. Fiction, historical, LGBTQA plus literary, emotional, reflective, and medium placed. Okay, so we are giving it at least a shot. So that is what I will be reading like next. It'll be a book I'm adding on for next week, not for this week, because this week is almost over. And I've also started both books. I do need to finish one more book before the end of the day, but I like feel comfortable doing that. I have no plans to leave the house for the rest of Sunday. It is like 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Got everything out of the house done this morning. And so I just have like Sunday things to do, like vacuuming and laundry and reading. I'll keep you updated. I think I'm going to dig into the Ministry of Time. I have kind of dabbled in and out of the audiobook, and I am thinking that the audiobook will be a great accompaniment to me on this like Sunday, in which I need to do some like cleaning and stuff. So that's the current plan. I'm sure I will check back in with you once I am either done with Ministry of Time or halfway through A Certain Hunger. Hi. I'm getting ready to go to sleep, but I wanted to give you an update on, it's not here anymore because I returned it to my local library because I'm utilizing my library obviously tons in this challenge. What is these hairs doing? It's not anyone's business. They're going to bed. I finished the Ministry of Time. It took me longer than I expected it to, just because I like really didn't want to read, to be honest. And one of the things I have definitely noticed this week in really actively trying to read more than I usually do is that I have gotten out of the habit, and like that muscle of like just being able to sit and focus on a book that is not holding my attention at every moment is much more difficult. Like a rom-com, it's not too bad for me because it's so like, I don't know, propulsive. It just like moves you through there. But Ministry of Time is a little slower. The writing is a little, I don't want to say dense, but it is focused on kind of the art of a sentence every now and again. And I love that kind of book. I love that kind of writing. I really do appreciate it. But like my brain is not used to having to sit and endure and just like sit there and pay attention, even at like not the ideal moment. Because like it's not like I haven't read this year. Like I've said, I read like 30 books already this year, but a lot of those books were read during like really like perfect moments where I was like, oh, I'm sitting by a pool, all I have is this book. Or I like spread it out over many, many weeks reading like in bed, or like a Saturday where I had truly nothing else to do and like really wanted to read. I had like gotten out of the habit of just like reading regularly in a way that just like builds up that reading muscle. And I do think part of the goal of this like hitting my 100 book goal is like getting that muscle back in shape for me. Finished my 4th book of the week. That is A Ministry of Time. Let's do our 60-second book recap. And then I'll talk to you a little bit more about my thoughts, because this book was a lot. And I don't feel like when I gave you the vibe check at the 50% mark, I really knew what I was in for. I feel like a lot changed between the vibe check and the end. Like the second half of the book, I was like, the Ministry of Time, the basic premise is we're following this young woman who does not have a name. She's never named, an unnamed protagonist. And she works for the British government, and she is in this new department that is working with people from time. They are helping support these people that in their time period would have died, but instead got pulled out because the British government has time travel now. And they've gotten pulled out of the British government. They're time traveling fellows. She's partnered with this guy who was like a 1930s naval officer who went on Arctic expeditions, and she's living with him, trying to help him acclimate to the modern day and also kind of monitoring him. This is like the first kind of set of missions of this kind, and the British government is just trying to make sure that these guys like can adapt both physically and mentally to the modern world. So she's in charge of that. There's a little bit of romance. It kind of turns into like a spy intrigue sort of situation towards the end too. Like there's almost a little thriller. It goes more sci-fi than I thought it was going to go. Like it is a little bit of everything. And I do feel like that actually like fairly well sums up my thoughts on that book. Is I was like I don't think my expectations going into it were at all well-tempered, and I think that's partly my fault. I saw this book like everywhere last year, and a lot of people really loved it. I heard it pitched as this like time travel. I like knew the basic premise that she was like in the modern day with this like Victorian man. And it was a little bit of a romance, which there is a romance between her and the Victorian man. But it is very slow. Like at the 50% mark, I don't think we saw it. Like that is like very much like a C plot. I think it is mostly about the British government and like what they do with time travel and our responsibilities as individuals in the like scope of history, to what extent is is like the individual good something that like exists at all, and how much are we a product of the time and the conditions we live in? How much can we push against that? I think it really answers, or like discusses, I don't know if it answers, but like really discusses these quite broadly and in a lot of different aspects. Absolutely beautifully written. That being said, I didn't super connect with it, and I think it did a lot of things and I wasn't expecting it. And I think if I had better expectations, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Where am I going to place it in the rankings? This one is tough. I almost feel similarly to it as I did Sisters, in which I can recognize like how good these books are and also how they didn't quite work for me. I do think I'm going to place it above Sisters, but just barely. So those are our rankings for the week. That is it. It is like almost 11 p.m. So the week is almost done. I will be bringing A Certain Hunger into next week. I'm like 20% of the way into that. Expect to finish that up. And also Matrix by Lauren Groff, which was my punishment book for the week. I have the audiobook of that. So I will definitely be working on that. I might even start it tonight because I do still need to read before bed tonight. I'm done with this book, so gotta find something else to read. I will see you next week. It is Taylor Swift release week. And so of course, next week, we will be theming all of our books around Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift, because that comes out on Thursday, and obviously my life will revolve around that for the next week. Getting closer and closer to that 100, because we're going to hit it. I believe in us. We did one week down. I think we have like 13 more to go. How very Taylor Swiftian.